Hello, and my name is Ed Huck with Keller Williams Realty, and I'm part of the Ed Huck team, and I'm here to give you my 2024 real estate predictions. I pulled out my crystal ball, and I'm going to give you my thoughts on what's going to happen. So let's dive right into this. So let's figure out what's going on, and let's review what actually happened in 2023 first. So the first thing that we got to talk about is mortgage rates. Obviously, mortgage rates are a big driver of the real estate market, and they did start to come back down last year. So as you can see, the beginning of the year of 2023, the rates were, if we look at the blue line, we're right at about 6.5. They went up throughout the summer because of obviously inflation. So the government was raising interest rates so we would stop spending so much so that inflation would come down, which they started to get a handle on that towards the third and fourth quarter of 2023. So we noticed rates start to come back down. So mortgage rates at the end of the year ended right around that 6.5, which is about what we were at the beginning of the year. If you go back and look at the mortgage rates over a much longer period, so let's say since 2020, look at that. Well, rates were at about 6.5, 20 something years ago. They hovered into that 5-6% range, until about 2000, to the real estate crash, actually, in 2008, 2009, to the Great Recession. Then they came down, and then they came down some more and came down some more. So, and obviously, it was quite the shock to the real estate market in 2022, the fall of 22, when the rates really started to go sky high. But the great news is rates have settled back down into that 6.5 range. What else happened last year? Well, we don't know the exact numbers yet. We won't know until probably the end of this month. But about 4.1 million homes sold nationally last year. If you look at this graph, it shows you year over year number of transfers all the way back to 1990. The thing to really pay attention to is the last 2 years. So where it says 6.1 million, that was actually 2021. So that was one of the highest number of transfers we've had since before the Great Recession. It was a really banner year for real estate transfers. Big part of that was because interest rates were so low. In 2022, that number dropped to about 5 million homes transferred. And like I said before, we're predicting about 3.9 to 4.1 million transfers in 2023. So another 20% drop. So literally we dropped 1 million homes between 22 and 21. And we're going to drop another 1 million homes between 22 and 23. So a lot less transfers last year. Why? So a huge thing, obviously, again, like I said before, rates and real estate go hand in hand. So when the rates went up, less homes were transferring, number one. Part of that was also the typical move-up buyer that's sitting on a 3% or 4% interest rate that normally would be getting ready to move now after they've been in their house 4, 5, 6, 7 years, sat on the sidelines because they're like, why would I move if I've got a 3% mortgage rate on my current house? Why would I go buy a bigger, newer house that has I have to spend 6 or 7% mortgage rate? So that was a huge part of what was going on as far as a lot less home selling. First-time home buyers got priced out of the real estate market because of interest rates. That really affected their payment a lot when we went from, say, 4% to 7%. And then we have a lot of empty nesters that are sitting on the sidelines that have no mortgage and would probably pay cash for their next house, but they're living longer, they're living healthier longer, they're staying in their big houses longer, even after their kids have moved out. And what we're seeing is because there's not a ton of, or because the inventory is selling so fast, these empty nesters perceive that there's no available housing for them, which not necessarily is the truth. There could be housing for them. It's just that they're selling so fast, they're not staying on the market long enough to notice them. So, you've got a lot of empty nesters that have just been sitting on the sidelines. Months worth of inventory. So the number of homes that we can currently have on the market to sell is the same as it was in 2022. So we look at this all the time in the real estate market to figure out if we've got 100 homes to sell today, how many months is it going to take for us to sell 100 homes? And right now it's taking 1.4 months to sell off our current number of available listings. A lot of fancy talk, but what we know as realtors is if that number is over 3 months worth of inventory, that's starting to go into what we call a neutral market. When it's under 3, it's still a strong seller's market. So even though there was a lot less homes that transferred last year, it's still a seller's market. So I think that's where a lot of people have been getting confused with what's going on with the market. So we did see mild appreciation last year. So in 2022, at the end of 2022, we saw about 10%, actually almost a little over 11% worth of the average sale price was up. And then this is for our greater Cleveland market. And then for 2023, though, we only saw that at 3.1%. So homes were still appreciating last year. They're back down to what I would call normal rate. So before the Great Recession, homes would appreciate in the Midwest at around 3%, 3 to 4%. That's kind of where our target was to keep everything stable. We wanted to see homes appreciate at 3 or 4%. So it's really nice to see that happened this year. You cannot sustain 11, 12, 15% appreciation year over year. The number of available homes to purchase was only up 1%. So that means the number of homes for sale, active listings today that I could go look at is only 1% more than it was in 2022. So that's really negligible. And then months homes stay in the market. So the number of days it takes to sell a home in 2022, it was 35 days. In 2023, it was 39 days. It's really only 4 days. It's 11%. It sounds like a big number. But when you boil it down to actual days, calendar days, it's really not that huge of a number. But it does tell the story that it is taking slightly longer to get your home to sell. Now for the fun part, predictions. What do we think is going to happen in 2024? So everything I read and everything which I read a lot, that's really my job. So I see it as staying up to date with every real estate publication, Wall Street Journal, everything I can get my hands on. And everything predicts rates are going to continue to slide down by the end of this year. So December, the fourth quarter of 2024, rates should be in that high 5s, low 6 range. Number of homes sold. So all the large trade associations are predicting we're going to sell more homes in 2024 than we did in 2023. So probably closer to mid 4.5, 4.8, somewhere in the high, 4.8 millions or whatever. So somewhere close to 5, a little under 5 million homes should transfer next year. If you look at this again, the average is historically right around 5 million homes selling. If we go back to 2002. So if we go back to there, you can kind of see we're going to get back to normal, I would call it. Why is that going to happen? Is when you look at this is the U.S. population by age. If you look at Gen Z and the millennials and the Generation X, there's a huge group of people that still need housing. The millennials are just starting to buy houses. And we've got this whole other section of Gen Zs that will eventually be buying houses. But there's 7.2 million millennials that are in their prime home buying years. And at any one time, 30 to 40% of all purchases are first-time home buyers. So we're going to be seeing a lot of first-time home buyers that have been sitting on the sidelines get back in the game because everybody's now, the thought of us seeing 4% interest rates again or 3% interest rates again, it's probably not going to happen in our lifetime. And if it does, it's going to have, it's going to be because of huge economic recessions that we're going to need to get rates that low again. But we've never seen those rates that low before, and we'll probably never see them again, at least in my lifetime. There's also a shortage of new homes. So depending on what graph you go grab, we're as a nation 2 to 3 million homes short by population. What that means is when we had the Great Recession, and you can look at this graph, in about 2010, 2008, they really stopped building a lot of new homes. Historically, year in and year out, we need to build about 1 million to 1.2 million, 1.3 million worth of homes, new construction every year, just to keep up with growth and population expansion. I always like to say, nobody stopped having babies when we started slowing down building houses as a nation. So we are really short a ton of houses. And you can see the deficit started to go away a little bit, and we started working back towards normal, and then COVID hit. And when COVID hit, supply chains, challenges happened. And of course, that really curtailed the new construction. So we're still short a ton of homes. What that all adds up to is it's still a strong seller's market. It's going to be a strong seller's market next year. You have a lot of buyers that have been sitting on the sidelines. Actually, the other challenge is there's not a lot of houses to rent. So not a lot of new homes to buy. We're short this, say call it 2 to 3 million worth of homes. Rates are going to come down a little bit. So we have buyers that are going to come back into the market that have been sitting on the sidelines. We have buyers that bought houses back, say 5-6 years ago, sitting on a great rate, but now have gotten married, had babies, got new jobs, transferred out of town, whatever. They're going to now jump back in the market. So these are the reasons I think we are going to see close to that 5 million homes transferring this year. And because of all those things, appreciation rates will still be solid. I don't think we're going to go into double-digit appreciation rates. I think we're going to probably see very similar to what we saw last year, 3-4% appreciation in the Midwest, or at least in the R market in Cleveland. So that is what I predict for 2024. We'll see what happens. And if you have any other real estate questions or want to know how this really affects your market, each little micro market in the Cleveland area is different. So please reach out to us. We'd love to help you out. We love making these videos. So if you have any questions, just reach out to us. Make it a great day. Thanks.